The Carmelo Anthony verdict yesterday, I mean, that was justice. That's the justice system working the way that it should. I mean, this was horrific. This was a guy who went into another team's camp at a track meet, was told to leave 15 times, stabbed a guy for really no good reason that anybody can discern other than just pure barbarity, and should be in prison for a long time. I agree with you. I mean, real justice would mean the death penalty, but 35 years is something that I think we can at least be proud of.
Yeah. You can't be proud of the way that some people have responded in the streets. It seems like they're trying to stoke this into some type of major race issue. Jasmine Crockett popping off saying this morning that Austin Metcalf's mother doesn't know the pain that a black woman faces every single day. What does that mean? What is that?
That's shocking. I have not seen that she said that. I mean, Austin Metcalf's mother is the mother who doesn't have a son anymore because this barbarian went over and stabbed him 15 times in the heart. The idea that you've got members of Congress who want to turn things like this and racialize our justice system without any justification whatsoever. I mean, if anything, in this case, this was a black kid murdering a white kid. I think that's where, if there's a racial issue here, that's where the issue is. Not with the fact that, yeah, if you stab somebody and you murder them, you're going to go to prison for a long time. But, it's just another reminder. Thank God Jasmine Crockett won't be here in Washington anymore.
Here's the exact quote. We have it up on screen. Black women live in agony that I promise you Austin Metcalf's mother has never lived through. I promise you the Metcalfs have never lived through. So there it is. It's a repulsive thing to say. I mean, it's like on some level, it's like they're asking for a completely different justice system that does not look at right or wrong, that simply looks at skin color and says, because you're of my tribe, you'll be innocent no matter what atrocity you commit against the other racial group. And you're seeing that, by the way, across the West. I think that's why Belfast is burning right now. That's the Henry Novak situation. You can see it, and I think it's important to call it out when you see that, because if you don't live in a colorblind meritocracy, none of our systems work, right? The entire system collapses the moment that you adopt that. It's all gone. Yep. There's either equal justice for everyone, colorblind justice for everyone, or for no one. And it's then it's a failed state. I think it's like really important to call that out.
Of course it is. I mean, I think most normal Americans look at this and they say, I really don't care what the color of your skin is. If you go and murder somebody, you should either get the death penalty or be in prison for a really, really long time. But you've got these idiotic race hustlers like Jasmine Crockett who have no substance to themselves whatsoever, intellectually, politically. It's why she's lost her Senate race, who want to turn this into some sort of racially divisive race war and suggest that somehow because this kid is black or because his mother is black, he should be given some sort of special privilege in our justice system. I mean, there's so little coherence to what she's saying. It's hard to take it on face value. But basically, I think the intent behind it is that there should be two different tiers of justice. And that apparently, according to Jasmine Crockett, if you're of one skin color, you should be treated differently and much more leniently, apparently, than if you have white skin, which is so gross and as you said, repulsive, and antithetical to equal justice under the law, to the way most people view right and wrong. That it's amazing that we have somebody in Congress who actually believes this. But we do, and we deal with it every day. And that, by the way, is, you talk about Belfast. That's why we have problems like that in Belfast. You see European leaders who I think have a similar mentality, and they say if a migrant comes into Europe and he tries to behead one of a native European, he's not doing that because he's a barbarian. He's not doing that because he's a bad person. He's doing that because somehow he's been oppressed by European countries, whether through colonialism or through more modern more modern policies. And because of that, we need to be more lenient to them. And whenever you do that, whether it's the Carmelo Anthony or in Europe, civilization unravels. Whenever you don't have swift, severe, and just justice, civilization does unravel.
So let's talk about this real quickly because Belfast is burning. There's now words of revolution on the streets of the United Kingdom, and it could have all been avoided if a republic just acted like a republic. And I think I boiled it down to this. No politician, left, right, center, no agency has ever asked the people, do you want unlimited third world migration from some of the most violent places on earth? The level of violence in Sudan is so extreme and so ethnically oriented. So it's the place of the most extreme ethnic violence in the world. Mm-hmm. What do you expect is going to happen when you put them in a target-rich environment where you bring them from a place where beheadings are commonplace and normal in the streets and nobody even intervenes, and it is, of course, a failed state? I don't understand the thought process for what do you expect is going to happen. But more importantly, most regular people get this, Congressman. Mm-hmm. Why have our leaders, they've done this to us without consent. That's the thing I can't get over. A republic is, we have consent, the consent of the governed. Somehow these policies have happened without our say-so. Nobody asked. They've never been put to a petition. They've never been put up to an election. No American ever voted for this. Mm-hmm. Why is it happening?
Yeah, I think that the left is the one you've had. First of all, it's coming primarily from the left, but you've had some people historically on our side of the aisle who have gone along with it. They've gone along with it because they want cheap third world labor and because they view the United States more as a sort of a economic zone composed of atomized economic units rather than a nation with people that has a history and a heritage that needs to be conserved. That's been the issue on our side of the aisle. And I think that within the Republican side, we are winning the debate against that. Now, on the left, I think the left views these people as potential voters, as people who can come into the United States, who can turn our social structure upside down and create an environment that's more conducive to Democrats winning elections. I mean, if you remember, the common Democrat mantra is never let a good crisis go to waste, right? But I think that the next step is, if we don't have a crisis, create one. And mass migration, particularly from third world countries, creates multiple crises. One, it reduces working class wages. It makes our communities significantly less safe. It strains our social systems and our education systems. And all of these are problems that Democrat politicians want to come in and attempt to solve. They never do, but they want to be the good guys who come in, the heroes who can solve these problems, whether it's giving more money to a failing education system, or using sort of a ghettoized portions of the United States as sort of political fodder for themselves.